has been good to you. If it wasn't for the grace of God, you wouldn't be where you are. Things may not be as well as you think they ought to be, but because God got his hand on you, you're alive and doing well. Long as there's breath in your body, there's hope for your soul. Some of y'all know some folk whose lives are so messed up until they have a form of godliness, but they're denying the power thereof. But some of us know how good God is. We look back and see where the Lord brought us from, and our soul begins to rejoice. I don't know about you, but I have a sensitivity for my brothers and sisters. I don't want to enjoy this thing by myself. I walk around and see people caught up on drugs. Have you ever had an opportunity to go into an area that was controlled by drug addiction? There is a certain eerie feeling that you get when you walk into areas where the demonic forces have control. You feel a certain eeriness that captivates your spirit, and down on the inside of you begins to cry out for God to send some help. We can no longer live in sealed houses and sit back and say, Lord, send it another way. What we've got to do is become spiritually motivated to let the world know that our God is an awesome God. And whatever your dilemma is, God can fix it. I don't care how long you've been on drugs, how long your life has been messed up. You need to get out of the spirit of complacency and allow the spirit to put a hunger on the inside, a hunger for more of God. The only thing that's going to help us is not laws being legislated, but the thing that's going to help us is a right relationship with God. Have I got some help here? You better touch somebody again and say, but God. Speak that thing into their life again and say, but God. I don't care what the situation dictates, what the newspapers are writing, or what the newscaster is forecasting. We serve a God that's well able. In spite of what man says or does, God is yet in control. Regardless of what they say about the future, God is in control of the future. They're talking about Armageddon is on the way, but I'm here to tell you the rapture is on the way, and God is getting ready to rapture his church. I don't know about y'all, but I want to be caught up in the rapture. I'm waiting for the rapture. I'm looking for the rapture. I'm living in expectation of the rapture. God's been good to us, y'all. Some of us are the recipients of God's anointing. Some of us are the recipients of God's blessing, because the stuff that you've been through really dictates you ought to be dead. But because of the favor of God, God allowed you to live through that stuff and gave you a second chance. But God didn't give you a second chance to sit down and get complacent with it. God gave you a second chance to motivate you to help somebody else. Because if the Lord delivered you, he delivered you so that through you, somebody else might be delivered. We need an anointing for this modern day demon. Same old devil, but got some new tricks. You need a fresh anointing to deal with these demons today. You need something to fight with. The devil don't like you. He never did like you. He's trying to abort your calling and mess up your anointing. But the devil is alive. You got to know who you are and know what God did for you. You know you didn't save yourself, but the Lord saved you. You didn't deliver yourself, but the Lord delivered you. You didn't heal yourself, but the Lord healed you to give you a testimony so you can tell somebody else that can't nobody do me like the Lord can. Touch 3 people and say, nobody, nobody, nobody. Some of you all are instruments in the hand of God, because there is a strong call on your life. And in the midst of your calling, in the midst of your anointing, you didn't understand why the enemy has intensified his attack against your person, you individually. He's been attacking you. Well, see, what happens to you in the spirit realm is the more the enemy attacks, it causes you to pray more. Because see, you can't get too complacent. Because when the enemy attacks you, you go to God and say, Lord, why? And God knows that you mean right. And God knows that he has a call on your life. And so you ask God, why do I have to go through this? Well, you ain't no better than Paul was. Because Paul asked the Lord, said, look, God, why this thorn? He said, I sought the Lord, and he wouldn't move the thorn. And so when I finally did get an answer, God spoke to me and said, Paul, listen, I got that thorn there for a reason. As long as that thorn is there to buffet you, it means I can get the glory out of your life. If I move the thorn, you might try to take my glory. And before I let you take my glory, I'll let you go to your grave. So Paul said, now wait a minute, Lord. Now that I understand why you're sticking me, stick me some more. Keep on sticking me as long as you get the glory. Let me go through hell as long as you get the glory. Let my way get rough as long as you get the glory. Because if you get the glory, I'm going to get the victory. Have I got some folk in here that know you got the victory? Go to 3 people and tell them, I got it, I got it, I got it.